Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. Today guys, we're going to be diving down back into the charts of Bitcoin, taking a look at some Glassnode data, see what is going on, whether we should expect, deeper pullbacks, whether or not we're actually stabilizing and finding the kind of bottom ahead of what is going to happen next. As we get into this video, if you find it useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you are going to be kept up to date with all of the videos that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. Right, with all that said, done, and out of the way, let's jump on down into the desktop and let's take a look at some positive things that are going on with Bitcoin right now. Okay guys, so we're going to start things off with Glassnode. You know how much I like this particular report, and I'm going to be adding it in to our Discord server shortly, hopefully for our Patreon members. Now here we obviously have everything from 2021 down to the current point in time, okay? Really important that we just kind of go through this. I've spoken about it so many times now, you guys are probably bored of me saying it, but what you would expect to see, Bitcoin's price goes up, Bitcoin leaves the exchanges. As Bitcoin's price pulls down, we often see here that there's an influx of Bitcoin onto the exchanges, and it's usually really, really high. To basically, cause that kind of selling pressure to kind of see that price pull back down. Okay, we then saw the price push up into the new all-time highs, the $67,000 and the $69,000. And during that time, we obviously did see Bitcoin leaving the exchanges. Once we got to the top, we saw a little bit of an influx, with more Bitcoin loading up onto the exchanges. This was actually happening before the $69,000, okay, not after the peak, not like we had previously here in May. Then obviously, as the price was declining, Bitcoin was just leaving the exchanges, right? Not what you would expect to see. You can see here, May, when Bitcoin crashed down from 65 to 28k, huge amounts of Bitcoin being loaded onto exchanges, and obviously, bringing that price all the way down. Now, the price has fallen down from $69,000 all the way to where it is today at like $33,000. And what have you seen? Well, you've not seen these kind of big moves. You've seen Bitcoin leave the exchanges, not in huge amounts either, but not what you'd normally expect to see. You'd normally expect to see a lot of green here. So really good report for just helping us understand what's actually going on. And you can see here a huge spike yesterday in terms of 21,000 Bitcoin leaving the exchanges, okay? And that's a net difference, okay? So all Bitcoin coming in, all Bitcoin going out. You've had more go out than has come in, and that's what's really good about this report here. Obviously, we do have, if I actually load it up on the exchange side of things, the balance of Bitcoin on exchanges. Again, you can see how that balance of Bitcoin on exchanges has decreased quite dramatically in line with pulling down the price of Bitcoin. Now, again, not what you would normally expect to see. You would normally see the price, the balance of Bitcoin on exchanges going up as the price pulls down. So again, these are encouraging signs. These are signs of accumulation is happening here, not mass sell-off, right? So what you're seeing here is short-term corrective action, potentially manipulation to kind of shake people out of the space. We will have the same narratives that we saw previously, bear markets and all that kind of stuff. But the data is not supporting the narrative of a bear market right now. There are a couple of anomalies that I have spoken about as well. The Gaussian channel, closing inside the Gaussian channel, historically wise, usually led to a bear market. The anomaly being the fact that we closed inside that Gaussian channel and then the very next week we closed above it. That has never happened in the history of Bitcoin. So this is the first time we've seen that. So this is actually now kind of me put a pin into the Gaussian channel until we really truly know what happens next here. We're looking for invalidation of a new all-time high. That would basically be where I would be thinking, yes, this is a bear market. We aren't there yet. The data isn't suggesting that we're there yet. And this is actually a really encouraging report that shows us that more Bitcoin's leaving the exchanges than going in, and therefore more than likely it's a short-term price action, price correction, nothing that is going to suggest long-term up to 18 months of crypto winter, where projects die because there's just not enough money in the space to survive. And that's what you saw between, 2018 and 2021. You saw a crypto winter. And it lasted a very long time. We saw a lot of projects come and go. And, that's not really what we want for the space right now, not whilst there are a lot of really new projects that are just getting started. And the last thing you want to do is see a crypto winter for those guys, because some of the projects are actually really, really good. They're fantastic, right? But truth of the matter is not all projects are going to survive. We've got over 17,000 coins. And, that isn't really what is going to be there in the end, right? I imagine that there's going to be a lot fewer projects surviving long term. So really cautious on that. But ultimately, we've got some encouraging data here from... Let me get rid of Chris calling me there. Yeah, so I think ultimately we're really encouraging to see this data and how it is flowing through. Right, let's actually jump on down now into the charts for Bitcoin. What's actually going on with the price action of BTC? So there's a few things here that I think are really useful in terms of understanding. So obviously pulling down, we initially had scoped out the $37,000 range. We lost that, became 35, and obviously we've lost that. The next level that we're really focusing in on is 32. And again, this resonates incredibly well with the daily C wave down. Okay, so what effectively we had was a big ABC move up on our weekly chart, and that's still valid until we actually drop down lower than the $28,000. Now the B range, this B wave low, is getting incredibly low, right? It's so low, in fact, that we should be very, very cautious over that. We're getting closer and closer to that invalidation point. The most probable area for this was going to be around that 786. Again, that came in at about $35,000. And the $37,000 was firmly between the 702 and the 786 in terms of retracement on the Fibonacci levels. So although we're getting down lower, still not invalidated. So we are still encouraged by this. And we had 5 waves up, so we are looking for 3 waves down, and this could be really interesting on our daily time frame to see that whether or not we actually get 5 waves up next. It takes us into the new all-time high of about 76k, because that would basically be a 535. And if we get another 3 waves after that, there's a high probability that we have another 5 waves up. Okay, so there are some interesting things going on here with Elliott wave as well. Okay, so looking at this C wave low, we aren't there yet in terms of where it's supposed to go. If we actually measure our A wave here, okay, and then we transpose this down on top of our B wave, just here, we can see that this actually comes down to about 31,650 approximately. So right in that $32,000 range, right? That's kind of where we're looking. Support being found at 31,000. Again, this is an area that we had clear bouncing from previously during the May crash down. So again, this is an area that we know is going to be a really interesting level of support. So it's getting really, really close to that level there. And again, obviously going down lower than 28k would be a very bearish signal. Going down lower, completely wiping out any potential move here in terms of Elliott theory to new all-time highs, and in which case we'd have to reanalyze. And likewise, and when you have 3 moves down like this, so the big ABC down towards that 30k level, after 5 waves up isn't unusual. You would normally expect 5 waves up, 3 waves down is a minimum. But obviously, if we go down lower than our previous 1 wave, then expecting another 5 waves up also is not very probable. It's not expected. Okay, so we'd be expecting to see more downside long term if that were the case. So a couple of things are really interesting here with Bitcoin. Now, I don't think we're going to go down to the low levels of invalidating these moves solely because we're not seeing the data from exchanges that suggests this. We have a lot of really interesting stuff going on with Bitcoin in terms of all the data from Glassnode, and there's some fantastic reports in there that really do show us, the movements. That's what's going on with Bitcoin. Ultimately, a lot more is actually leaving than coming in, and that's a really key thing to remember. So ultimately for BTC right now, I think we are looking to just trade sideways for a bit. And if we actually bring this down into our hourly for a moment, you can kind of see, we kind of stabilized around here, kind of scoped this out. Now, we did lose that support of 34, which is fine. Ultimately, the journey here is to kind of reach this lower level. And again, as I said previously, it's not an impulsive move. We didn't reach the 1.382 or the 1.618 in terms of these ABCs on the way down here. So it's not impulsive. It's very corrective, very, very choppy along here. Taking this leg down, right now, the stochastic RSI is oversold, so we are looking for a bounce. Okay, so if we actually go ahead and think about this in terms of where we're likely to bounce to on the way up, I imagine that we're probably going to be moving right up into this zone here. Again, this is the 786 of a larger move in terms of coming down here. Now, that's actually resonating incredibly well with the 618 of this move. So, potentially on that horizon is going to be somewhere between $34.5 and $35,000. seems to be the most probable bounce. And then what you end up with effectively is this A wave down here, a potential B wave up, and then a C wave taking us down into those final moments. That's kind of what we're looking for as we look to bottom this out. And ultimately what we'll be looking for is to rise that stochastic up, i.e. get into that B wave, and then bring the stochastic back down to oversold as we're in this $31,000 to $32,000 range. Now, doing this will allow us then to actually complete the move in total. The daily chart's already over sold. We obviously have the weekly that's oversold. The 8 hourly is it's literally just gone up a little bit, but yeah, it was oversold. The 4 hourly needs to come down, so that's why we're looking at this big move coming down here to finish off this leg and basically finish off the correction, hopefully. But ultimately, we are looking for the B wave up first, and then we are looking to come down. So very, very choppy, very corrective. Still see a little bit more downside on the shorter time frames, but overall, you know, when we actually shoot out into our weekly, you know, things aren't looking overly bad. I mean, we have here a relatively standard kind of move. If we actually measure this out, we have our A wave here, our B wave coming down, and it looks like we're coming in at a $32,000 range to complete it. Okay, as in A, B, and C. We're not quite there, but we're very, very close to it, right? This one actually comes in at 31,997. So everything's kind of coming together and converging right around this number. Okay, so that's looking pretty encouraging overall here for Bitcoin. We had the push up, we pull back down, and now we look for that next leg, that next step to the upside. As I said, this, although is our fifth wave here, could actually be a part of a much bigger fifth wave overall. Okay, so if I actually zoom on out, you can see the entire bull run that we've had so far. Actually kind of got a bit of a fake start back in December of 2018 is kind of where Bitcoin actually started. Good run up. COVID obviously brought us down. Push up here, obviously May highs. Pull back with wave 4, and wave 5 was really short, right? Not where you would expect a wave 5 to be at all. So it's very possible that actually this fifth wave is way, way much higher, and we just can't see it yet. Okay, and actually what's going on here is a potential fifth 5 moves, right? We have wave 1, this whole move here to $32,000 could be a wave 2. Then we have a wave 3, then we have a wave 4, then we have a wave 5. You know, too soon to say. Definitely can't do any kind of assumptions based on impulsive moves until we actually start to see some form of correction. But that fifth wave is far too short. You know, for the most part, you would normally see or at least a 1.618, right? From this point here, that would be $110,000. That's your most probable scenario for a fifth wave. You know, that's usually what you see. And when you don't see that, you know, you have to then think, okay, well, what happened here? What changed here? You know, what is the data actually suggesting to us? Right now, we're heavily oversold. We're waiting for the next big move. We just can't see it yet. So one to just bear in mind, guys, you know, Bitcoin hasn't done what it was supposed to do. It hasn't, you know, these things that were expected, they're the rules of the Elliott wave. And you know, it's not being adhered to completely all the way through, so we need to really be aware of these things. This ABC isn't unusual. $31,000 to $32,000, that has to hold for us. We don't want to go down lower. If we drop down lower than wave 4, then effectively, yeah, I'm pretty much in line with thinking it's kind of game over scenario for a while. Whether or not it's you know, a shorter kind of bear market cycle, you know, and I know a lot of people are kind of saying about this, you know, do you still think it's a 4-year cycle? Do you think it's an extended cycle? I think there's something totally different going on. I'll probably save that for a different video at some point when I get the time to actually really analyze the market over a longer period of time, because I do think that what we actually have kind of going on is a series of shorter bull runs and shorter bear markets, and not too dissimilar to what you see across some of the traditional finance areas as well. So I think there's some other stuff kind of going on here. Now we've got a few additional players, more institutions are in here now. You know, we aren't looking impulsive down. We are not looking at a bearish kind of percentages just yet. We are looking to kind of finish our ABC. When we get into those lower areas of 31 to 32K, we'll have a good idea of what's going on, what the reversal is going to look like. And obviously, you know, 2017 was a much harsher time for the retail investor by the looks of it. A lot more pullbacks of the kind of 35 to 40% were had in 2017 versus what we've had so far. Very, very, you know, simple kind of bull run we've had, pretty luxury run. We had obviously the pullback of 56%. We've had this pullback right now of 52%. But these aren't, you know, bear market pullbacks. Are pretty comfortable areas for the moment. So we'll be watching that. If we do expect to see a bear market that does last a long period of time, then, you know, we are talking about $10,000 Bitcoin at that point. So we want to be very cautious over those things. And again, things that haven't been seen with Bitcoin in the past either. So guys, I'm going to leave the video there. Hopefully you found it useful, informative, maybe even encouraging with some of that Glassnode data. If you have, hit the like button. I do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, do go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you are going to be kept up to date with all the videos that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With that said, done and out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.